In this video, we'll be going over the standard deduction worksheet for dependents, line 12 of the IRS Form 1040. You can find this worksheet in the form instructions themselves. It's relatively straightforward. However, it is on a page that makes it a little bit confusing, and I'll explain why. So it's on the same page as the standard deduction chart for people who were born before January 2nd, 1959 or were blind. So the top worksheet states that it's clearly for people who can be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return, or someone whose spouse could be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. Whereas the bottom chart is for people who are not being claimed on another taxpayer's return. So there's a little bit of confusion here. I figured if it seemed confusing to me as I'm going through these forms and instructions, it might be confusing for some other people out there. So I figured I'd break this down, this page down for myself and record it in a video, so that other people might be able to learn and observe. So here we go. First, we're going to just take a stroll through the top part, which again, for clarification, is the worksheet for people who could be claimed as dependents on a tax return. So again, you would find this on page 34 of the form instructions. Sorry for ducking down there. I just had to get the page number. So if you go to page 34 of the form instructions, you'll find this worksheet. So in this situation, let's just imagine that this is John Doe and his wife, and he's completing this worksheet so that his adult son can claim him as a dependent on their tax return. They're a little bit older, and they live with John's son. So in this scenario, John and his wife were both born before January 2nd, 1959. And in this case, they're both blind. So the first question that ran to my head is, how could someone who's blind read these instructions? So you can actually request, if you have an impairment, if you're visually impaired, or if you prefer large print, if there's a format that you can request, you can actually request the IRS send you all of your correspondence in a preferred format. So there are several formats for people with visual impairments. You can get tax forms and instructions sent to you, and correspondence sent to you in a variety of different formats. You would file IRS Form 9000, which is the alternative media preference form. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. It's a fairly straightforward form, and there are a lot of options. So that's just a question that was rattling around in the back of my head. So in this case, we have 4 boxes checked. So we're going to hit 4 boxes in line 1. So we're going to discuss earned income. So earned income is right here. Basically, if you get a Form W-2, you're probably going to have earned income. If you have self-employment, that's earned income. So the technical definition is any wages, salaries, tips, professional fees, and other compensation that you receive for personal services that you performed. Can also include a taxable scholarship or a fellowship grant. Most of those programs have some sort of work-related clause. So if you have a taxable scholarship, that's above and beyond your, what you can consider to be tax-free income, then that's probably earned income. So you can say that your earned income is the total of the amounts that you reported on your Form 1040 or 1040 SR line 1Z and Schedule 1, lines 3, 6, 8R, 8T, 8U, and minus any amounts that are on line 15 of Schedule 1. So we'll put links in the show notes to all of those references, but real quick, we'll go through what each of those lines represents on Schedule 1 itself. So line 3 would be considered Schedule C income, so whatever business income or loss on Schedule C. Line 6 is farm income that you would report on Schedule F. Line 8R is the scholarship and fellowship grants that were not reported on Form W-2. Line 8T would be pension or annuity from a non-qualified deferred comp or a Section 457 plan that most likely would be reported to you on a Form 1099-R, I believe. And then 8U is wages earned while incarcerated. And then the line 15 amount that you would subtract is the deductible part of your self-employment tax. So all of those related forms, we'll put links to them in the show notes. So in this case, we just said that our earned income is more than $850. Let's say it's $1,000. So to that $1,000, we're going to add $400, and that means our line 2 is $1,400. So John and his wife are married, filing a joint return. So now the standard deduction is the smaller of either line 2 or line 3, which in this case is the $1,400. Now, if you're born after January 1st, 1959, and you're not blind, then you would stop here and enter this on your line 12 of your tax return. We'll kind of walk through this as if we need to just keep going. So if you were born before January 2nd, 1959 and blind, then you'll multiply the line 1 number by 1,500. If you were single or head of household, then you would multiply it by 1,850. So in this case, we're going to multiply the 4 by 1,500, and we get $6,000. Now we're going to add those lines together, and that's the standard deduction that you would enter on your Form 1040 or your 1040 SR. So this is for someone who can be claimed on another taxpayer's tax return. So you would still get a standard deduction of $7,400 based on checking all 4 of these boxes, and if you had $1,000 of earned income. So if you didn't have $1,000 of earned income, if you didn't have any earned income, you would enter the 1,250. All of these numbers would remain fairly close to similar. The only thing that would change is this bottom number right here. So there you go. Let's take a look at the bottom of this chart for people who were born before January 2nd, 1959 or were blind. And let's just say it's the same scenario where John Doe and his wife get to check all 4 boxes. And now we're going to enter 4 boxes checked. So this one's a little bit more straightforward because you can simply, you don't need to do any calculations. You simply go to the form and you look at what appears based on your status. So John and his wife are married filing jointly. They put 4 in their box, so their standard deduction is simply the $33,700. So, and then if you are married filing separately, you can check the boxes for your spouse. If you're married filing separately and your spouse had no income is not filing a return and cannot be claimed as a dependent on another person's return. You can then go ahead and check your spouse's blocks. So I mean, basically that's how you complete these worksheets to determine the amount of your standard deduction. If you're using tax preparation software, most of this stuff is done automatically. It's just computed for you. But if you're doing, if you're participating, say, in the IRS free file program, you shouldn't have to enter this on your own. But if you need to, for some reason, go back and calculate, and you have to use this worksheet, then that's how you would do that. And again, remember, on page 34, there are two different worksheets. You use only one. So you use one up here if you can be claimed on someone else's tax return, and then you use this other one down here if you cannot be claimed on someone else's tax return, but you were born either before January 2nd, 1959, or you're blind, or the same with your spouse. If one of those four boxes can be checked, then you would use this, and you would go and determine your standard deduction with that increased deduction. So as I mentioned, we'll put links in the show notes to all the forms and schedules that we mentioned in this video. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or if there's a topic that you'd like to see discussed in a future video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.